I went to meet my future in-laws, thinking it would be a simple dinner. But I had no idea I was walking into a nightmare. From the moment I stepped inside, I felt their eyes on me, judging every word, every gesture, every breath. They questioned me about my family, my money, my intentions with Emily, and even tried to make me read her private diary to prove my love. I spilled water on her plate, choked on pie, and felt humiliated beyond belief. While Emily sat there, ashamed and angry, watching her parents test me like some cruel game. I was cornered, exhausted, and afraid I'd lose her forever. But I refused to bend, refused to betray her trust, and stood up to them. And in the end, against all odds, I won. I earned their respect, I protected the woman I love, and the people who try to break me finally learned what real courage and loyalty look like. This is a story about love, family, betrayal, and justice, and how standing up for what's right can change everything. I still remember the first time I met my future in-laws, and I swear it was the single most awkward, humiliating, and jaw-dropping day of my life. Honestly, I didn't know whether to laugh, cry, or just disappear. But if you think you've had a family drama, wait until you hear this. So here's the backstory. My name's Mark, I'm 28, and I've been dating Emily for about a year. Emily is amazing, smart, funny, and honestly, she's the kind of girl that makes you feel like you've won the lottery just by holding her hand. Things are going really well between us, and eventually, we both decided it was time I meet her parents. Emily warned me, they're a little old-fashioned. I nodded, thinking, okay, a little awkward small talk, no problem. But she didn't tell me about the real situation. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, have been married for over 40 years, and let me tell you, they are intense. They have this old-school Southern charm, but it's mixed with a sharp tongue and a knack for throwing shade that could cut through steel. The day arrived. I put on my best shirt, combed my hair, practiced a smile that wasn't too fake, and drove over to their house. From the moment I walked in, I felt like I had stepped into a reality show I wasn't prepared for. The living room smelled like a mix of lavender and something very, very old. Mr. Thompson greeted me with a firm handshake and a critical look that made my stomach twist. "So, you're the guy," he said, voice low, like he was deciding my fate in that single sentence. Then came Mrs. Thompson. She was smiling, but her eyes had that subtle warning that told me I was already on thin ice. "Emily's told us so much about you," she said sweetly, but her tone had a sharp edge that made me nervous. I just hope all of it was true. Things started off fine, a little small talk about the weather, Emily's college, my job. But then, the dinner. Oh, the dinner. Emily's mom had prepared a huge meal, enough to feed an army. But the way she served it was strategic. Every bite I took was silently judged. Every sip of water, every comment, everything. I could feel her eyes drilling into me. Then came a question that changed everything. "Mark," Mrs. Thompson said, leaning forward, "what exactly are your intentions with Emily? Are you planning to inherit anything from your family? Money, property, savings?" I froze. Did she just ask me that? I tried to laugh it off. Well, I love Emily, of course, but Mr. Thompson cut in with a chuckle that sounded more like a growl. "We like to know where our daughter stands and where the men around her stand too." I was sweating. Emily looked mortified. "Dad, come on," she whispered, but it was too late. The atmosphere had shifted. I realized I was in the middle of a subtle interrogation disguised as polite conversation. And the worst part? I wasn't even halfway through dinner. Then it happened. Mrs. Thompson suddenly asked, "So, Mark, if you ever inherited anything, would Emily be entitled to half?" I choked on my bite of chicken. "Half? Of what? How much are we even talking about?" I was so flustered I spilled water all over the table, drenching my lap and part of Emily's plate. Silence. Absolute silence. The kind that makes your ears ring. Emily's dad leaned back, smirked, and said, "Well, that's one way to make an impression." I wanted to disappear right there. I was mortified, but little did I know, this was just the beginning of a much, much bigger family drama. By the end of the night, I left with a headache, sticky clothes, and a full understanding that being part of Emily's family meant stepping into a minefield. And trust me, things were about to get worse before they got better. Moral of this part? Sometimes the first impression isn't just awkward, it's a warning. And some families, they don't just test your manners. They test your soul. After that first disastrous dinner, I thought maybe things would calm down next time. Maybe Emily's parents would warm up to me. I was wrong. So, about 2 weeks later, Emily invited me over again. This time, she said, it's just a small family gathering. Mom's making dessert. Dad wants to play cards. I should have seen the warning signs, but hope is a powerful thing. I walked in, and immediately I noticed the atmosphere was tense but subtly, like a storm hiding behind blue skies. Mr. Thompson greeted me with that same firm handshake, but this time his eyes seemed sharper. Mark, good to see you again. The words were polite, but I swear the air between them carried a silent, we'll see how long you last. We sat down in the living room. Emily's little brother, Jason, was there too. He was quiet, shy, and probably sensed the tension too. Mrs. Thompson was bustling around, placing plates of cookies, chocolate cake, and something called pecan pie on the coffee table. I tried to make conversation, talking about work, sports, hobbies. But every compliment I gave Emily was met with a subtle eye roll or a raised eyebrow from her parents. Then it started. A casual comment from Mr. Thompson that escalated fast. So, Mark, how's your family doing? He asked. Simple question, right? I smiled. They're good. My parents are retired now, and my sister just had a baby. He interrupted, leaning back. So you've got a little inheritance coming soon, huh? I blinked. Wait, what? I laughed nervously. Well, I guess maybe someday, but he smirked. Because you're probably aware that Emily here is from a family that values financial stability. It's important to know what your partner brings to the table, right? My stomach sank. I looked at Emily. She gave me that helpless glance, the one that says I warned you. I felt trapped, like a mouse in a lion's den. I just love her, I said softly, trying to avoid the financial trap entirely. Mrs. Thompson clapped her hands like it was a game show. Oh, this will be fun. Tell us, Mark, if you were to marry Emily, how would you manage her family's assets? Would she be entitled to anything? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was like a quiz I never studied for. I stammered, well, I guess we discuss it. She leaned forward, voice silky but deadly. Discuss? Or assume? Because we've seen men assume, and we've seen the results. Jason, Emily's brother, started shifting uncomfortably in his chair. He whispered, "Leave him alone, Mom," but it didn't help. Emily's mother had zero intentions of leaving me alone. Then came the game card fiasco. Mr. Thompson insisted we all play poker. He said, "Don't worry, Mark. It's just for fun. But let's see if you can handle pressure." The stakes weren't real money, or so I thought, until he started making remarks like, so you bluff when cornered. Interesting. Must be useful in negotiations. I tried to play casually, but every move I made was scrutinized. Every card I drew, every bet I placed, felt like a judgment on my entire character. I lost predictably, and Mr. Thompson leaned over, smirked, and whispered loud enough for everyone to hear, "Some people think love conquers all, until the stakes get high." At that point, my cheeks were burning, my hands sweaty. Emily's mom gave me a slice of pie, and I took it nervously. But as soon as I took a bite, she said, "I hope you know pecans are a family tradition. Only those we truly trust get to enjoy them." I choked. I literally choked on the pie. Emily rushed to help me, slapping my back, whispering, "Oh my God, stop coughing. Dad is watching." And Mr. Thompson just laughed. A deep, loud laugh, the kind that makes you feel small. Then came the unexpected twist. Jason, who had barely said a word all evening, suddenly spoke up. "Actually, I like Mark. He's not perfect, but he treats Emily well. Maybe you guys are overthinking this." Everyone turned to him. Silence. Mrs. Thompson's smile faltered for a second, and just when I thought I could breathe, Mr. Thompson dropped the bombshell. "Well, maybe Jason, but remember, family loyalty isn't just about liking someone. It's about surviving their tests." I wanted to run out the door. I didn't know if this was a test, or if I just stumbled into some twisted reality show of old Southern family politics. But Emily held my hand, squeezing it tight. "We'll get through this," she whispered. and somehow that gave me a little courage. By the end of the night, I had survived the poker game, the endless subtle interrogations, and the pie choke. But I knew deep down this wasn't the end. It was just the opening act. And the real drama, Emily's family's true colors, was about to unfold. Moral of part two? Sometimes families put you through trials you never signed up for. But if you love someone, surviving the storm together, well, that's just the beginning. After surviving the infamous dessert and poker night, I thought I might finally catch a break. I was wrong. Emily and I decided to have a quiet weekend at her parents' lake house. She said it would be more relaxed, and I wanted to believe her. I packed my bag, practiced my pleasant, agreeable face, and drove out to the lake, hoping for a weekend of calm and maybe, just maybe, some bonding. The lake house was beautiful. Wooden beams, a roaring fireplace, the smell of pine. It should have been perfect. But I immediately sensed the tension the moment we stepped inside. Mr. Thompson shook my hand, but this time his grip was firm, almost crushing. "Mark, ready for a weekend with us?" he asked, with that same tone that felt like a test. Emily smiled nervously. "It'll be fun, I promise," she whispered, grabbing my hand. But I could see the worry in her eyes. She knew what I didn't yet. Her parents had a way of turning even a calm weekend into a battlefield. The first evening started innocently enough. We had dinner, laughed at old family stories, and tried to play a board game. But soon, the small talk turned into pointed questions. Mrs. Thompson casually asked, "Mark, what's your plan if Emily ever needs financial support from her family? Would you manage it responsibly?" I froze. Again, with the money. I laughed awkwardly. I think we'd handle it together. Her smile was tight. "Together, huh," she said, as if that answer revealed everything. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. While I was helping Emily carry firewood for the fireplace, Mr. Thompson cornered me. "Mark, Emily is practically the heartbeat of this family. Everything she does affects us. If you're serious about her, you need to understand our rules." "Rules?" I asked, nervous. "Yes, rules. Loyalty, responsibility, respect, and honesty." His eyes narrowed. "Especially honesty. I hope you're completely honest with us. No secrets." I nodded, sweating. "Of course, sir. I'll be honest." That night, after Emily and I went to bed, I couldn't sleep. The stress was crushing. I felt like I was under surveillance, my every action analyzed and judged. Then, around midnight, I heard voices downstairs. Curiosity, and perhaps a terrible mistake, made me get up and peek. I saw Mrs. Thompson and Jason arguing quietly but intensely. Words like betrayal and inheritance floated up the stairs. I couldn't hear clearly, but something about the conversation made my heart race. They were plotting something about Emily, about me, about the family fortune. I felt sick to my stomach. The next morning, the tension exploded. Over breakfast, Mrs. Thompson casually dropped, "Mark, we think Emily should reconsider her plans with you. She has responsibilities she might not fully understand yet. Sometimes love isn't enough." I choked on my coffee. Emily gasped, her hand covering her mouth. I looked at her father, hoping for some support. But Mr. Thompson just nodded, expression unreadable. I couldn't hold it anymore. "Wait, what are you talking about? Reconsider what? I love Emily. I've done nothing but care for her." Mrs. Thompson leaned back, calm and terrifying. "It's not about what you've done. It's about what you might do. Families like ours, we don't leave anything to chance." Emily burst into tears. "Mom, Dad, stop this. Mark hasn't done anything wrong." Her father's face softened for a second, but then he said, "Sweetheart, it's about preparation. He must understand our family. He must prove himself." The next hours were a blur. I was interrogated about everything: my job, my family, my future plans, my intentions with Emily. I answered every question truthfully, but it felt like every answer led to another accusation. By the afternoon, I was exhausted, humiliated, and emotionally drained. Then came the final blow of the day. Jason, who had seemed like my ally before, suddenly spoke up in a tone that shocked me. "Mark, maybe you should leave. Maybe this family is too much for you." Emily looked at him in disbelief. "Jason, how could you say that? Jason shrugged. I'm just being realistic. They have their rules, and you can't win against them. I felt my heart sink. I wanted to scream, to run, to pick up Emily and leave. But she grabbed my hand. No, she said firmly. We're not leaving. We'll get through this together. By the time dinner ended, I realized something important. Surviving Emily's family wasn't about being perfect. It wasn't about impressing them. It was about standing your ground, protecting the one you love, and refusing to be intimidated by intimidation itself. That night, as I lay in bed next to Emily, I whispered, I don't know if I can survive this family. She squeezed my hand. You're stronger than you think, and they'll see it eventually. Moral of part 3? Sometimes family drama is relentless. It tests your patience, your love, your courage. But the people who truly matter will stand by you. And that's when you realize survival is just the beginning of victory. The lake weekend was supposed to be about relaxing and enjoying nature, but by Saturday morning, it felt like a battlefield. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, and every word out of my mouth seemed to set off a warning bell. Emily tried to keep things light, but even her bright smile couldn't cut through the tension. We were sitting at the breakfast table when Mr. Thompson suddenly said, Mark, I've been thinking, maybe it's time we test your honesty in a more practical way. I blinked. Practical way? Yes, he said, leaning back with that infuriating smirk. You say you love Emily. You say you're committed. But how far would you go to protect her? To prove your loyalty? I swallowed hard. I had no idea what he meant. I don't know. I'd do anything for her, I said cautiously. He nodded slowly, as if I'd failed the test already. Good. But words mean nothing without action. We're going to see if you truly belong in this family. I felt the air leave my lungs. Emily's eyes widened. Dad, you can't. Silence, he said. This is for his own good. Then came the challenge. Mr. Thompson handed me an envelope. Inside were documents, bank statements, investment records, family property titles. He said, We've been thinking about estate planning. Emily will inherit certain assets in the future, but if you want to be part of this family, you must demonstrate responsibility. Tonight, you will manage a small portion of these accounts. Make the right decisions, and you pass. Make the wrong ones, and you'll see what consequences look like. I stared. My heart was racing. This is insane, I thought. I didn't sign up to manage a family empire. But the true horror wasn't just the task. It was the way they watched me. Every move I made, every calculation, every question I asked was scrutinized like a microscope. Emily whispered, Mark, just breathe. You can do this. But the fear in her voice mirrored my own panic. Hours passed. I made careful choices, double-checked every number, triple-checked everything. I thought I was doing well, until Mrs. Thompson suddenly said, Are you sure about this? You don't want to risk Emily's future, do you? I froze. I think it's correct, I said, but my voice wavered. Her smile was like a knife. We'll see. Then came the first real confrontation. Jason stormed in, furious. Mark, you're making a huge mistake. You don't understand what these numbers mean. I looked at him, exhausted, frustrated, and snapped. I'm trying my best. I've never done anything like this before. And you're attacking me? I care about Emily more than you'll ever understand. Emily gasped. Mark, her father slammed his hand on the table. Enough. Both of you. This isn't just about numbers. It's about proving your worth, your integrity, your loyalty. Do not forget, everything in this house has rules, and breaking them comes with consequences. Then, the ultimate test. Mr. Thompson handed me another envelope. This one contained Emily's personal diary. Read it, he said calmly. We need to know if you truly understand her. If you do, you might just belong here. I felt my stomach drop. I loved Emily, but reading her diary felt like violating a sacred trust. I looked at her, horrified. I can't. This isn't right. You can't make me do this. Mrs. Thompson's eyes narrowed. If you refuse, you fail. And if you fail, maybe Emily needs someone stronger. Someone who will comply. I felt trapped, cornered. I wanted to run. But then Emily stood, her eyes blazing. No, Mark, don't. This is insane. This isn't love. It's a game, and I won't let them humiliate you like this. Her father's face darkened. Emily, sit down. This is for your own good. She shook her head. No, I'm done with this. If you think love is measured by tests, by fear, by control, then maybe you've never loved at all. The room fell silent. You could hear the clock ticking. Even Jason was shocked. For the first time, Mrs. Thompson looked unsettled. Mr. Thompson's jaw tightened. I realized something crucial. I didn't need to prove my love to anyone but Emily. And standing up to them, protecting her, standing my ground, that was the real test. So I did the only thing I could. I stood up, faced her parents, and said, I love Emily. I've done everything in my power to respect you, but I will not violate her trust. If that means I fail your test, so be it. But I will never compromise my love for her to please you. Emily's hand found mine, trembling. Thank you, she whispered. There was a long pause. Then Mr. Thompson exhaled slowly, like he had just swallowed something bitter. Mrs. Thompson looked away, pursing her lips. Jason simply stared. And then something unexpected happened. Emily's father nodded. Perhaps we've been too harsh. Maybe the world doesn't need tests to judge love. But remember this. Families like ours, they observe. They watch. And they respect courage. I could hardly believe it. After hours of intimidation, fear, and near humiliation, we had survived. Not by bending to their rules, but by refusing to play their game. Moral of Part 4? Sometimes the greatest test isn't about rules, money, or approval. It's about standing up for what's right, protecting the ones you love, and refusing to let fear dictate your actions. True respect, love, can't be forced. It has to be earned by courage, honesty, and integrity. The next morning, the lake house felt different. Tense, yes, but also quiet, almost peaceful. I was exhausted, emotionally and mentally drained from the previous day's battles. But for the first time, I felt a tiny flicker of hope. Emily and I sat by the fireplace, sipping coffee, our hands entwined. She looked at me with gratitude and love in her eyes. Mark, you did it. You didn't break. You didn't give in. I smiled weakly. I don't feel like I won anything. I just survived. She shook her head. No, Mark, you did more than survive. You showed them, and more importantly, yourself, that love isn't about approval or tests. It's about courage, loyalty, trust. We spent the morning walking along the lake, trying to forget the tension. But little did we know, the final twist of the weekend was about to hit. At lunch, Mr. Thompson called us to the dining room. His face was unreadable, and Mrs. Thompson stood beside him, arms crossed, lips pressed tight. I braced myself, expecting another test, another interrogation, another attempt to humiliate me. But instead, something unexpected happened. Mark, Mr. Thompson began slowly, we've been too rigid, too harsh. Perhaps we wanted to see what you were made of, but in the process, we forgot the most important thing, Emily's happiness. And your courage has reminded us of that. I blinked. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Was this a compliment? Mrs. Thompson continued, her voice softer than I had ever heard it. You've stood by her, even when we tried to break you. You protected her trust. And for that, we respect you. Emily's eyes filled with tears. I felt like I could finally breathe again. But the surprise wasn't over. Jason, who had been silent all weekend, finally spoke. Mark, I underestimated you. You didn't just survive their tests. You showed integrity. I respect you now. I wanted to laugh in disbelief. After everything, the interrogation, the poker game, the diary test, the financial spreadsheets, I finally felt like part of the family. Then came the ultimate moment of justice. Mrs. Thompson leaned closer and said, Mark, there's something we need to tell you. Part of the weekend, all the tests, the challenges, the interrogations, it was a setup. A way to prepare Emily for the reality of trusting someone with our family. But also, she paused dramatically, to expose a man who might have been greedy or deceitful. You passed, and for that, you've earned our respect. But make no mistake, anyone who tries to manipulate or hurt Emily or our family will not be welcomed. That's final. I exhaled, relief washing over me. I had survived not just a test of patience, but a test of character. And just when I thought the drama was over, Emily's father added with a smirk, Oh, and one more thing, your little slip at dinner, spilling water on Emily's plate? Consider that your initiation. Welcome to the family, Mark. I couldn't help it, I laughed. Emily laughed. Even Jason chuckled, shaking his head. For the first time, the tension melted into something warm, genuine. Over the next few hours, the family relaxed. We played cards for fun, told stories, and even laughed at some of the ridiculous rules they had put me through. Mrs. Thompson shared secret family recipes. Mr. Thompson told tales of his youth. And through it all, I realized something powerful. Families can be complicated, demanding, and even harsh, but sometimes they teach you resilience, courage, and the true meaning of loyalty. By the end of the weekend, Emily and I left the lake house holding hands, smiling, and feeling like we had conquered something far greater than any family drama. It wasn't about money, inheritance, or rules. It was about standing up for love, integrity, and trust. And the ultimate karma? Over the next few weeks, the Thompsons, once so intimidating, became our allies, even our friends. They began trusting me genuinely, consulting me on family decisions, joking with me, including me in their lives. What started as humiliation, manipulation, and intense test had transformed into respect, acceptance, and even admiration. Moral of the story? Sometimes, family drama isn't just about conflict. It's about character. True love and respect aren't earned by bending to fear. They're earned by standing firm, protecting what matters, and refusing to compromise your integrity. And in the end, courage and honesty have a way of winning every single time. As for me, I survived Emily's parents, her family's tests, and even my own fear. And in the process, I found something far more valuable than approval or money. I found respect, love, and the unshakable bond that comes from standing up for what truly matters. And that, my friends, is how I met my future in-laws and survived the nightmare they tried to put me through.